Oh guys, this is really graphic. This is like really gruesome stuff. I don't even think I can like talk about this on YouTube. What's up, Rat Fam? We are throwing it back to this channel's roots. We're throwing it back to OG days in 2014, 2015, where I talked about creepypastas all the time. But today I want to try to explain the creepypasta of the Russian sleep experiment and how it really took the internet by storm to the point where it's become like this urban legend that people believe actually happened. So let's get to it. This is a really unique creepypasta, I think, because it's just one of those classics that so many people know, and even though it's quite old, people keep stumbling upon it every day, making it more and more popular and prevalent in our society. It seemed to have really taken off again, specifically on YouTube in 2017. It just seemed like a lot of people were making videos about it, talking about it, because at this point it seemed like the story went from creepypasta, which everyone acknowledges is a fictitious, scary story meant to just be that, just a scary story to scare you. It seemed to have morphed into an urban legend of sorts, to the point where some people believed it, or at least questioned if any of it was actually true. That's how big this thing got. And you might be thinking, why are you talking about this in 2019, Kaylena? I just always thought this story was so fascinating, especially seeing it morph over the years. And apparently they're making movies about it. Like, I looked it up when I was researching this, and I saw 2 movies are coming out this year on it. 2 separate movies. How? I think the morphing of this story is what makes it even more fascinating. Just the idea that so many people have heard about it and are questioning its authenticity is very fascinating. I mean, that's the internet for you, though. Things get shared by enough people and it changes slightly enough times to where it becomes believable. So now that we have like a little bit of the history of the story, we should jump into just like an overview of what the story actually is. So I'm going to be using the synopsis from Wikipedia to share with you guys like the overview of the creepypasta. So the title of the story is The Russian Sleep Experiment, and it's a pretty accurate spot-on title for what the story's about. The story takes place at a facility in the Soviet Union in the 1940s where the government was doing experiments on people regarding sleep deprivation and its effects on the body and the mind. In a military-sanctioned experiment, a group of researchers put 5 political prisoners in a sealed gas chamber where an airborne stimulant is continually administered with the intent of keeping the 5 subjects awake without any sleep for 30 days, a whole entire month without a second of sleep. They want to know how this affects the body, how this affects the mind, what we can tap from within ourselves without taking the hours to go to bed. It's very, very fascinating. And you can see like where the believability comes in. This was a time period where it seems like ethics in the medical research field were out the window. People did not care. They just wanted results and answers to some questions that people were asking. Particularly high up people were asking. Some really pleasant stuff, right? This is such a light read. The prisoners were promised freedom if they completed this experiment. So they had an incentive to keep going, even like when things got hard, like on day 3 when they wanted to give in. They had an incentive. It was for their freedom. So they were going to fight with every ounce of willpower they had to try to stay awake. The subjects behaved normally during the initial days. I think it was up until like day 5. They were acting pretty normal, with the subjects talking to each other and whispering to the researchers. Okay, that's a little creepy. One day, one of the subjects starts screaming uncontrollably, unconsolably. Now, the other participants really didn't want the researchers to see what was happening to the person screaming, so they actually took like torn pieces of paper and pasted them over the windows. Oh God, see, this is very creepy. A few days passed without the researchers being able to actually look inside to see what's happening, during which the chamber is completely silent. Nothing. The scream stopped. They don't even hear any talking or whispering from the other participants. Oh my God, it's so chilling. The researchers then use the intercom to test if the subjects are still alive and get a short response of a subject expressing compliance. So one person's like, yep, still here, still alive, all while none of the others are heard from. But on the 14th day, so just shy of halfway through the experiment, the researchers decided to turn off the stimulant and reopen the chamber. Upon looking inside, it is discovered that the 4 surviving subjects had performed severe mutilation during the past few days, including, oh guys, this is really graphic. This is like really gruesome stuff. I don't even think I can like talk about this on YouTube. So I'll let it up to your imagination on the gruesome details on it. Just know things did not end well for one of the participants. You know what I'm saying? But not only that, they did it to themselves also. And the only really gruesome detail I will let you guys know about in this video is self-cannibalism was involved. So you can just imagine, if I'm willing to share that with you, what the other details were. The chamber that they were locked in was a scene from a horror movie with just blood and you know what, smeared all over the walls and floor, to the point where like it was like they were waiting in it as they were walking to the patients. Oh god, that's really disgusting and disturbing. Oh, but this is where it gets even freakier. The subjects violently refused to leave the chamber and begged the scientists to continue administering the stimulant. So these participants did not want to sleep. Why? Something scared them so bad that they did not want to close their eyes. Oh my god, it's so terrifying. After eventually being removed from the chamber, all subjects are shown to exhibit extreme strength, unprecedented resistance to drugs and sedatives, superhuman abilities to remain alive despite lethal injuries, and a desperate desire to remain awake and being given the stimulant. It is also found that any one of the subjects who falls asleep dies instantly. People thought this was real? What the heck? Oh, I'm glad it's not real. After being treated for the injuries, the surviving 3 subjects are being prepared for returning to the gas chamber with the stimulant, with EEG monitors showing for short, reoccurring moments that all the subjects are brain dead. Don't know how you'd explain that. With only 1 participant still remaining, the researchers obviously want to know what's special about this person. What happened? Why are these people not acting like people anymore? This is where it's really chilling. The one subject responds that he is an inherent evil inside the human mind that is only kept in check, kept at bay by the act of sleeping. And by not sleeping for so many days, this evil being was unlocked and allowed to take control over the human body. This creepypasta is one of the ones that when you first read it, you think it is so absurd, so out there, so crazy that people can't possibly think that it's real. But if people are reading just like synopsis or synopsi of the story, that they're not actually reading how it's written out, you can kind of see with the time period how people would kind of believe this to actually have happened. I mean, I don't think it's the most far-fetched thing to think about. I wouldn't blame anyone if they only read a quick blurb about this for thinking maybe there was a little truth to it. Maybe not the story that they heard, but there's a little something to it. There was a novel released in 2015 based off of the creepypasta, and there have been 2 movies. Now, Wikipedia says that one of the movies came out December 14th, 2018, but when I looked it up, both movies said 2019, so I'm not quite sure about the discrepancy there. Now, one of the movies that's coming out this year is called The Soviet Sleep Experiment, so there is a slight name change. And the synopsis of this movie, I'll just read it to you from IMDb. In the late 1940s, Soviet researchers kept 4 patients awake for 30 days using experimental gas-based stimulant. The researchers were cut off from the world and asked to do a series of tests on the subject for the benefit of the Red Army. What started as a purely scientific research study soon escalated to insanity. What happens next will change the way you view humanity. It seems like it follows the creepypasta pretty spot on, though it says 4 where the creepypasta I believe said 5. So, you know, little minor detail changes here and there, like the name. Now, the other movie that IMDb says 2019, Wikipedia says 2018, so I'm not quite sure, is called The Sleep Experiment. So again, the name's slightly different. Now, the synopsis for this one is real quick, real short. During the Cold War, 5 prisoners are promised their freedom if they take part in an experiment in which they must stay awake for 30 days. So there's a lot of content out there. If you like this story, you know, there's a lot more to explore from it, I guess. So I guess the whole point of this, not only to share with you guys a very spooky story, one that's iconic and will probably be resurging on the internet every so many years. I think there's also a lesson to be learned here is, you know, the internet can be a little deceiving. Maybe don't believe everything you read. Maybe do a little bit of research before thinking something is true or not true based off of very limited information. Nonetheless though, very terrifying. But thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I hope you liked this explaining urban legend creepypasta episode, video, whatever. If you did like it and want to see more deep dives into specific stories, please give me some suggestions down below in the comments. I always love hearing what you guys want to see on this channel. And until next time, keep it the radness, and I'll see you real soon. Bye! And you know, to try to lessen some of the nightmare fuel effect, here's Missy Mare! Here's a little close-up of her. Meredith, you want no? She's mad that I woke her up from her nap. I'm sorry.